Welcome back everyone to Sully's Rods and Customs. Today we're going to handle this coupe back quarter here. I'll spin the camera around and I'll show you what we're up to. What we're going to do is we're going to cut off this bottom quarter here. We're going to replace that quarter light. We have a couple of spare bits that I've purchased off a sedan that should fix this 80s custom up. I'll spin the camera around and I'll show you what we're going to get up to. Alright. This is what we got. I'll bring the light in nice and close here. So to start with, somebody has, I'll bring the camera out of it so you can see. So you can see here where someone's welded up the rear quarter side marker lights. Done a pretty poor job of it too. You can see all their crappy welds. I'm going to cut this whole section out right around here. And replace that whole bit. When they've done it, it's nice and smooth out here, but in here you can see it's all beaten out of shape. Down here you can see, I don't know if you can see, but underneath there's some rust holes in it. This is a different bottom that someone's welded on there. This whole triangle is done really poorly. Rust holes through here. Let's see if I can spin the whole coupe over. Give me a second, I'll spin it. Yeah, it's really badly corroded. Right up inside the back of the quarter there too. See all that stuff in there? You wouldn't see that. That's the area. See that bottom bit right down that bottom corner there where the sandblaster, right down the bottom there where the sandblaster missed. Still got a bit of tar on it. So if this whole bottom area wasn't removed, all that tar wasn't blasted off, you wouldn't see that, and you would paint the car and you'd be stuck with that mess. So underneath here too, I don't know if you can see it here, underneath here you can see all these rust holes, rust in the bottom here. There's a few more pinholes across the other side, it's really thin. So what I've done, I've purchased this whole lower section of the car here. So it has this bottom, this internal part, and it has this external part up to around about here somewhere. So that's the master plan, is to replace all of that. So what I've got is, I went online, checked on the Aveska site, and I've purchased these lower quarter sections. I'll cut them out of the plastic wrap and I'll show you what they look like together, rather than send two separate ones. Firstly, because it's saved on postage, and secondly because they're stronger together as one piece. So right, this is that piece. It's got some corner protection on there to protect the corner here, which is good. This one's the same, so I've got a left and a right hand panel here. So I'll show you what it looks like in the camera here. So you can see this is that lower quarter section. It looks pretty good. It's already got the fold on it. It's already got the lip in there where it gets spot welded on underneath the car. I'll show you where that spot is up there. Hopefully everything lines up like it's supposed to. It already looks a bit different to me anyway. This bit back here looks a bit different, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So it's supposed to go to here. Someone's trimmed that front piece off, which is okay. We can put this new one in. Looks like it will fit in there nice. The lip that returns back in there looks a little bit too long. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to probably cut this off here somewhere. Cut this off up here on the side of the quarter. Take that whole bottom section out. Once that bottom section's out, you can see back here it's different again. See how I can see a couple of spot welds here, here, and these ones run down the side. This panel, that lip stops right there. It's hard to see because, see if I can actually get it up there and show you. See just in there, where is it? Get that light in there. See right there, you can see that's where that, right there, as you can see where that, can't see, yeah, in there you can see that, where that actually stops. It's got some dodgy weld in there, must be from factory. So I have to cut this bottom piece back to that length and then probably flatten it out so a bit goes inside, because it looks like, I don't know if you can see those spot welds, there's one there, one there, one there. I'll have to drill them out, and this panel must go through the inside here because it looks like there's another spot weld over here. So I'll have a look inside the car and we'll see how it looks. if I get out here, you can see those spot welds really easy. There they are there, look, 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4. And then if I get the right angle back here, you can see one. Don't know if that's one there or if it's just they missed that one there and then they took it again. But this is the actual car floor in here, so it must overlap. I'll roll the car over and we'll have a look inside. Right, we're inside the boot. Looks like there's still some tar and stuff to knock off in here. As I've showed you before, this boot is immaculate. Look at it. No rust at all in it. Obviously the boot seals worked out okay and didn't fail. So you can see in here all this bodgy paste and stuff they've put in here. Let me get some light on there. All this bodgy paste they've put in here to hide their shitty welds. Down there you can see that hole. Put your finger through it. All the bottom down here. So that bottom, I'm cutting it off along here somewhere from the outside. That piece goes down, wraps up on the inside here and comes up and it lips down inside this edge here. So I can see where that end fold is right there. So I'll have to put this piece in. Looks like it's got to go between that edge of the inner what do you call it? The wheel well. I'll have to get it down in that piece there. I might even cut it off and leave that bit if it's still in good nick. That fold comes up here, goes back underneath and gets spot welded from the back. Trim it off at this edge here. Cut it along this edge. And take that piece out. It goes right to this back corner here. In here now you can see where some dodgy brother in the past has cut out that side marker light. So we'll be putting that back in. I'll show you how it fits. Let's have a look at this thing. If I put this up underneath it. Once I cut those other bottom bits off the other side there, it'll fit up underneath like this. It's got to go higher because it can't fit in the bottom lip there, but it'll be right up against the front edge here. It'll replace all that dodgy front bit. Hopefully it takes in that bit of weld there. I'll have to cut a bit more off, but I'm pretty confident it will because this lip under here doesn't fit in the gap while the other one's still underneath there. So I'll have to mark this out, cut it all off. I'm going to cut it low here. Get rid of this bottom section first. Cut it around that corner there. I don't have to undo those spot welds, do I? Yes, I do. I have to undo those spot welds because the inner wheel well in here. Let me just go back inside here. Tricky spots. So I've got to undo these, unstitch these spot welds along here, so I can separate these two panels. And then because this inner panel is different to the outer panel, which is why they generally rust so much in here. I'll have to do a repair on this inner section in here where that dodgy hole is, but I won't see that until I cut the outer panel off. Undo the spot welds here, undo the spot welds up here, get all that bottom section out, and we'll see how we go. I might send a pop of these first and see how I go getting this inner well separated. Get the spot weld drill, which there's a couple of different versions you can get. I'm going to try this one because it's in an awkward spot, but you can see how it's sort of, where is the camera? Right there. See how it's cut to a weird tip? We will try and use that one. Try this one. And this one. I'll have to put my other drill bit in. All right, let's try this. This is the other drill bit I was talking about. It's that, it's got like that little brooch end on it with a spike. The spike stays in the spot wheel in the center punch hole, hopefully. Let's tie it up first. roll the car down, trying to pop that panel out this way. There we go. Let's have a look what's happening in here. It's fully welded in that piece down there, so up to there I'm going to have to do a bit more cutting of that piece in there. Maybe I can just lever it out. I'm not sure if you can see how much crud is in there, but this is why you need to do the cars properly, right? Like, look at all this crap that's in here. This car's been sandblasted, but a lot of that stuff there is dirt. Anyway, but you can see inside here, you can see that lip. Not sure if you can see it. I'll see if I can get the light behind it, and you might be able to see it then. See if I can get the light in there behind. There you go. See that rust in there? If I cover it up, you can see it there, look. That's all that edge there is all gone. So once I cut this front lip off here, I'll expose all that rust. I'll have to make a patch panel for in there, and we'll carry on. So I'll set the camera back up over here for you. I'll continue to cut this panel out. I might just bend it until I get it out. Might just break off. But yeah, like I mentioned, it's actually welded from the outside to the inside. There we go. So you can see this dodgy job that was done before by some rookie. See this panel that's here. You can see they didn't even get it flush. If you look on the back, they overlapped. It goes that way. They overlapped the two plates and welded it from the outside. That's just going to trap rust in there and make it rust again. Up there, you can see is the only area they got a bit of penetration through. Everything else is just a butt weld on the outside, or a fillet weld on the outside. That's the only butt weld section through there. So down here is where it was. This is a new panel they put in, I don't know how many years ago, but you can see it's already rusted. So, and that's the piece that's inside here. So I will continue to cut this out. All right, I'll show you that there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to nick this across the end here, try and separate this lip off the front of here, grind that piece off there, try and cut this bottom bit out, separate it. Got to somehow get the spot welds off the bottom of here. So let's work on that. Alright, that's better. I'll show you something here. You can see here where I missed that spot weld. I got the edge of it, and that one there, I got the bottom of it. I didn't get the top of it, which is why it didn't want to come off. So I'll put when I finish cutting this off, I'll put the outside panel back on. I'll dolly this back into shape because it's so weak. I'm going to have to cut this. See where it's black metal still here? This original panel. I'll dress this up down here, see how good it is. It kind of feels weak all the way through there. If you look up here, see this lip? This lip here. See how it fits in? It fits in over here where it's supposed to. So it's supposed to be spot welded between there, so I'm actually going to have to drill out. I have to dolly these dents out first. I don't know if you can see those dents in there, can you? They're dents in there. Once I grind the little pucks off the back, I'll knock these down flat. This has got to fit inside. But you can see up here where I've got to chop this piece here, and I've got to cut this piece here and turn it. I've got to cut this outer, actually I've got to cut the inner lip out of it and use this outer lip to bend up like that bit there. I don't know if you can actually see it. And see how this sort of fits right to the end. I could easily just bodge it up. Well, I'm not going to, but I could easily just bodge it up and send this all the way down straight to the end. You like cut that lip off straight down there and have this full lip down here, but it won't be genuine. So I need to cut that inner piece to the right shape. So like you see how that sort of comes along and goes up. Once I get to this point here, I'll have to start cutting that inner lip there on a bit of a radius to go up here, take that turn. So when I get it off, see how it goes up there? I've got to unpick that inner piece there yet, because this has got to fit inside that bit. So it's nothing like the shape. See how this is? See how this is full shape all the way along here, right to the end. And in actual fact, this bit of the panel is pretty good in here, so I might actually just cut it off and bend the lip up in there, but not 100% sold on it yet. So this bit's got to go in there, fits in nice and tight. When I roll it down, I'll bring this back. Looking at the ceiling there. When I bring this back down, hopefully it doesn't fall out. There you go. So when I have this shoved up in here like that, it fits quite neat up against this edge here. See right here? It fits quite neat right up against that edge there. I'll have to take a little bit off the back, it's a little bit long. It fits up in that lip in there. Let's get spot welded on in there. Problem is with these old cars, see how when you have it like that, which is probably why someone else took it off, see how it creates this pocket in the back of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the other one, which is still original, which is down the bottom down there, and I can actually see how far that lip comes along. And that lip actually, when I still look at it down, that lip actually comes down here, because this, for some reason, this wheel well on the Q is, this right hand side one is deeper than the left hand side. Like the wheel arch on the other side comes in shallower to about here, just leaves a small pocket. But this has this like 100mm recess in there, and it builds up with lots of crap in there, which is why you got to put a fair bit of seam sealer in there and try and get it to taper out towards the front. But you'll see that fits nice and tight up in there. Once I clamp it up in there, I'll drill some outside lines, outside holes in here, and I'll spot weld it in. Inside here is the same. I have to drill it from the back and spot weld it because I can't get into that lip in there. It's going to be a little bit difficult to weld, but I'll give it a good crack. I have to make that inner panel there. You can see now it's looking pretty average. So this whole bottom section here is absolutely rooted. This bit's got to be knocked out like this. You can see where these two bits joined here before to try and form that shape. So I'll have to get on the bead roller, roll this shape into the end, fold it around. I'm going to replace it right down to underneath here. And then I've got that piece in the back just in there to make as well, that little triangle piece. See that bit right there? Sorry about the shakiness, but I'm trying to show you on the tripod here, and the tripod's wandering around a bit. I'll have to cut this off just below that hole there, re-drill that hole, replace this bottom corner. Bit dusty in here. Replace that bottom corner. I've got to fix that weld up there because I actually cut it by mistake with the grinder. And that bottom lip will be there. This piece will come through. It gets 2 spot welds on that. You can see down here, all these other spot welds down here I've got to clean out. All those ones along. So what have I done here? I've cut that entire piece out there, that whole corner. I cut it on that line there because there was already a score mark there from the previous bodgy guy that cut the previous panel out and welded the other bit in there. So I just followed his line. So I now have this piece here. You can see all that weld down the bottom where he welded both panels together. I have this piece here now I now have to make. So what I'll do is I'll make a template out of that in masking tape. All right. I didn't show you every detail of it, but there's the piece removed. There's the shape or template. That's the bit that fits in exactly right there like that. Right, so there's the template that fits over that piece. Here's the piece I've cut out to allow for it, so I'm going to put that in there as close a fit as I can, which is like that. There we go. Now I'm going to mark some lines on here where the shape change is. There's a bend line there, a bend line there, a bend line there, and there, there too. This is going to get cut out, that section. So when I fold them all down, it'll end up like that corner there. Fold back and fold back and fold back. This is a cut. So we're going to cut that little nick out of there and there. I have to cut these first because otherwise you won't be able to. You can see that's that piece there, right? So it has a piece cut of that corner there, that little triangle. So let's do that first. So there's that little piece. Oh, there's that little piece cut out of there now. So when I fold that piece back, actually I've got to cut that line right through to there. I've got to fold that piece back, that piece under, and that piece back, and this piece that way, and that's got to be a raised crown. So let me cut that last bit, then we'll get cracking. Right, sorry, forgot to turn the camera on. I'll just show you a little bit of bodginess I got going over here. You can see here, actually that's squashed in a fair bit. It's got to come out. But you can see here how this shape's starting to come about here. Can you see that? Is it clear? Oh, yeah. What I'm doing is I'm just sort of pinching it in this. This is my pan brake, but or press brake we're going to call it. I'm just inching up on it and using this. It's a full V. It'll give me a 90-degree bend if I give it heat. But all I'm doing is sticking it in the side and. Oops, get the camera beaten up there. I'm just sticking it in the side here and just sneaking up on it. So I got it in here like this. I'm just sort of sneaking up on the bend, a little bit at a time. So you can see there what I got to do. I got to put it in the stretcher shrinker and just stretch that edge a bit to try and make it turn down. You can see I've folded this edge here. I got to fold this one back, which I'm going to do here now, so I can see my cut lines of where the fold's got to be. Do I have one? I don't. So these fingers you take them out of the press. You just undo these screws. You slide them down and pull them out the side. But I don't have one exactly the size I need, so I'm going to try and use this one here to press my line that I need. Not too heavily, just go light to start with. Just moving it back and forward just to get the lines. See if I can bend it up a bit easier. So that's probably gone too far now, but I'll bend it back. You can see here how it's gone. I need to bring that back a little bit because it's got to follow that shape there. I'll just pull that back out a bit here right now. There you go. That's that shape there. That's that top shape there, and I'll shrink that edge down, I'll dolly it around. I'm just gonna pull that bottom shape around here now, just to finish this shape off. And then when I bring this side around, it should be right. So where's that line? Just there. Yeah, definitely there, and it's definitely just there. Alright, so we're getting pretty close here. If I put this up against it, it's starting to look a bit alike. This has to go over the top of that, but it can't fold down over that edge, so I bend it right down. Which I got to do a bit of stretching now, so I'll just go and stretch that edge a bit to turn it, and I'll show you what it looks like. There you can see it's got a bit of, I said stretch, got a bit of shrink to it now. It's starting to take a bit of shape. It's almost the same as this piece. In actual fact, it's not. I've got to bend that edge around more. This angle looks correct here, but the bottom one's got to be turned a bit more. I might just do that right now. Freaking thing out now. Right, it's getting pretty close. As you can see, that'll get knocked out a bit here and welded back to that line. Let's see how it's looking compared to this piece. It's getting there. See, the top looks a bit open. I have to dolly that down in there, or try and crimp that down a bit more to turn it a bit more. Right, that's that piece pretty much done. I've got to nick a bit out of the back of it here, but I'll tack weld it into the top there first, and I'll get it close like that, and then I'll give it a bit of a bump around with a hammer. It's all tacked in. Got a little bit of a bigger gap at the bottom here. I got to do something with it. It opened up because when I put it on there, it was sticking out a little bit, so I actually pushed it in, which opened the gap up down the bottom there. So, but I'll fix it up. So this bit fits on there. So this is see how it currently fits on. It's got to go up underneath that lip, under there. A little bit of a gap at the back here, but when I cut this off nice and neat up there, it'll fit pretty good. Transition's looking pretty good from panel to panel. Yeah, that's looking pretty sweet. Well, I think so anyway. There you go, that's what it looks like. Solid as a rock. All welded in around the back, welded in around the bottom there. Welded around the bottom there, fully welded here. I just got to fill a little hole just there once I trim that last bit off. But before I do that, I got to get this bottom part of the quarter on the inner, this shape worked out so this actual panel fits in there nice and snug. So I'll work that out, and then we will be good to go. So what I'm doing now is you see I've lineaged this all back. There's a couple of little low spots and high spots here where it's sort of buckled a bit. I'm just trying to dolly it back into position just so it's nice and flat and finish it off. You hear the difference between hitting again here. Here you can hear nice solid blow where it's hitting the dolly behind it. Over here, hollow. Feels pretty good. Let's get a bit of a finish. Just thought I'd show you something. I think you remember I mentioned grinding out the lead. Let me just put this pin in here so it stays up. Grinding out the lead. So I ground the lead out there with a wire wheel, but you can see behind it, they rust behind the lead, right? So if you don't get it all out, you can see that there, there's still a little bit of lead right in there. I've got to get the wire wheel into it and get it out, and a tiny bit down in here. But you can see there, that is corrosion behind the lead. So if you don't take that out, I mean, that could have been there from day one. And been rusting for years and never had done anything because it was encapsulated, but I can't leave it there. I'll be wire wheeling that all through, cleaning out with some deoxidine, making sure it's nice and rust free, and I'll be using fiberglass filler through any of those lead joints that I find. So, all right. Okay, I made a mistake. This was a little bit too fat, and I was probably maybe 3 or 4 mil too far this way, which wouldn't allow the new quarter panel to line up with there. So you can see the line there where I've scribed, had the clecos in there to fit it. That's where it comes across. I'm going to cut it down here, come straight across, come down the side here and around, because that new panel is too long. So from there, it doesn't end at that radius there for the bumper bar. It ends out here somewhere, so I have to cut it back and bring it in here somewhere and just take it around past that point in there. So I had to modify the inside of this quarter panel to sort of follow that shape. Instead of having the lip down, the lip came up and followed around inside, so it gets spot welded from the top there. Not because that radius sort of turns here and goes in this way. I've just got to grind this up yet and fix it, but so I've got to drill a few spot welds, like 1, 2, 3 there, so it sits on top of that panel and gets tack welded in from the boot side. So that's the bit you see on the boot side, then it runs down and goes inside the panel, down the bottom of the quarter obviously. That's the shape that's previously cut out at, but that's going to be a little bit too big. So you can see here where I've drawn these lines. These are the lines where my actual car quarter panel ends around the tail light. So I have to trim that around there and make that shape. Probably going to come down around and a bit short here. I don't want to get around that radius too close to where all the old lead and shit was. I'm going to sort of bring it in here and bring it around to the bottom and weld that in. But right, this is where we're at with the lower quarter. You've seen that inner patch that I made. This is the quarter panel in Victoria somewhere. But as you can see, this is an original coupe quarter panel. And this is how it fits, right? So I don't know if you can see that angle there. See how this comes along this way and it gets to that point there. It's a bit fat there. I can see where I try to knock it in. I put a hump. I'm gonna get rid of that hump. But I'm gonna have to slit this at that join there. Take a little piece out and bring that front piece in once I've taken this last piece off the top here. But I don't know if you can see how it comes down as a radius and then it sort of turns back. It's a pretty shitty panel, so I'm going to have to cut this top bit, bring it in, cut the bottom bit, bring it out, because this coupe quarter is supposed to sort of come down to like probably here somewhere, because that radius has got doesn't come around the radius of the guard and then go backwards like that. That is just pretty crappy. Anyway, when you get to the back part over here, you can see here how long it is. See how it's long right back here. See how this cutout they've got here doesn't match where the bumper bar sits in there normally. So I'm going to trim this back. That's a line I had there before, right down there. You see that line? I'm going to trim this back to just inside, just that side of that line, and turn it there. And I don't know whether I think I'm going to take it back to close to this radius here and come around with it, because it's a bit stronger at that radius, so it's less likely to warp the panel. But it's actually touching just there and not touching back here. I don't know if you can see it back here, but you can see the panel shape. There's my lead mark. The panel shape should ideally come out to here, not up there like that. That is just some dodgy crap I really stuffed up buying these lower quarters. I don't know if anyone's got better suggestions for these, but I've done the work now. It's pretty much on there. And this bottom piece that goes inside here, see if I can show you in there. This bottom piece that comes across here, you can see here where I had to sort of cut it. The way they made the panel, it runs right back through to here somewhere, but it can't because that lip doesn't go across here. I had to cut it, turn this lip up. I've got to clamp this back together yet. You see that little patch piece I put in there? Actually, there's a bit of, I haven't actually welded that one there. Once I take it off, I'll re-weld that joint there. You can see where it's just the panel butted up against the line. And you can see just here where I had to unpick these. Let me just turn it up a bit more on the rotisserie, and we'll show you better. I'll pause this, hang on a sec. Just there you can see where that's the original bottom of the coupe quarter coming across there, and it had a couple of two spot welds there, and then it had like a, you can see this weld is like a fillet weld that come from that corner around to there in this section. So I'm probably going to cut it along here somewhere, and I don't know, I was thinking about turning that shape there, but I'll probably follow this radius around here. And once I've done that, that bottom panel will be pretty much ready to weld on. Right, you can see, I don't know if you can see, but I got like my 1 millimeter gap between the panels there. This is the panel clamp. It's got like a square piece in the back of it. This is what keeps it nice and flush. Got the clicos. This is a little tab behind there. I probably should have left one in the middle here, but there's one behind there as well, one behind there, one at the bottom. This bottom bit's free, the side bit's free. You can see where I cut like a triangle out of this piece here, so this panel comes down the right sort of direction there. So got the coupe quarter, looks the right shape. I'm not trying to over show this stuff to you here, just want you to see what I'm up to. Let me just try and show you. There you go. There you can see how the right, so it's spot tack welded in there. These goes back out. Might just drop that panel clamp. You hear it drop in the back there. That welding lead off. All clear goes out. Clamps off. There's the end of the panel clamp. Alright, so you can see there now where I've cut that triangle out of that to try and get that radius shape there correct, which fits nice now. I've got a bit of a split here I've got to weld up, which was there from when I welded this on. I did the original cut here, so that cut's got to be welded up and dressed. And there you can see the little tabs I left. One there, one there, one there, one there for the clicos to go in. Problem I got now is this one here is going to be hard to take out, so I might actually have to get rid of it. I'll get rid of it. Actually, I'll leave it on loose, then I can snap it off the back after. Hopefully keep welding through there. Then I'll be able to weld this side marker light back in. Do some dolly work on this panel, try and get it all nice and flat again, because this piece here is looking pretty bloody good. The rest of it's looking pretty sad. So get that sorted out, dressed up, welded in. Right, that's where we're up to right now. You can see this section has had the weld through primer put on it. Anywhere it's going to get like a spot weld, there's my cleco hole. underneath here too, where it's going to get right under there, where it's going to get welded under the bottom there. So it gets welded on the bottom, welded through the back over there. It gets spot welds. It's really difficult to get to these ones here, but they go in from the back underneath here, which I'll get there. A couple along here, 2 just here. The rest of this is going to be, there'll be a little fillet weld under there where I ground it out. This will be butt welded all the way in. Sorry, here, all the way in. Once I get around here, I'll start across the top here. I really want to keep this nice and flat. I'll have the panel clamp in the middle here to keep the pieces together. Once I get close to here, I'll get the grinder, nick that off, keep welding. Like I have a couple of spot welds either side just to have it all tacked in. Then I'll nick that off and I'll weld through. Then I'll nick that off and I'll weld through. Same with these ones. Same with these ones. Once I've done that, I'll weld the whole panel in fully. Got a little trick I'll show you with the air tool when I get to it, but it just makes it a lot easier to use when you're doing panel welding. Instead of dropping the air tool or the air blower, pick it up, blow it, pick up the MIG, weld it, drop it, pick up the blower. I'll show you a little handy trick that I don't know if I created it or I made it, but it works really well. A bit bright, but when I stand here it won't be too bright. So what I want to do now is I sort of feel the panel. If I can feel that it's not flush, I'll either press the bottom in and feel that it's flush, or I'll press the top in slowly until I feel no step between the two panels. Once it's perfect, I'll put a spot weld right there. And I'll move along, do the same along this sort of area here. Same on this side over here. Once I get that in, I'll take that panel clamp out. I'll move it to a different location. Once I get close to these tabs and get a tack either side of it, I will cut the tabs out. Right, there's those rosette welds done there on the wheel arch. There's the same 5 that were there underneath the inner quarter there. Hard to see these ones under here. You can just sort of see them. It was so hard to weld back up underneath there because you can't weld in the top. So I had to weld up underneath there a bit, sort of daggy because it's overhead welding. You see them weld all the way through here. These on the side, you got a bit scrappy here because the end of the steel was a bit shit, so I had to grind that back and redress it. That's going to be a bit of a problem. I tried to dolly that in and I split the steel, so I have to do a few little spot welds on there before I get that sorted. I'll just rotate this rotisserie around. Get rid of that bit of wire there. There you can see all spot welded in. It is really flush for now, but like I said, I will dolly that. I'll dolly all those welds. I can feel just a slight pull in, but these are flush. I can feel it. I don't know if you can actually see it. Can you see? If I get down the side of it? No, you can't, but I can feel it. Your hands are the best sensors you've got when you're working on a car. So, right, I saved you all the boring stuff there. You can see here where I've ground off the 3 spot welds here, and there's a couple that way, which is the inner part of the inner guard as it comes around. These spot welds here are all ground back. I've got a bit of a dent there. I got to get behind there and knock out. All these spot welds under here, can't see them, but you can see there's one there, one there, 2 here. They're all ground out. Might be able to get the angle here. See under there, hard to see. But interestingly, this coupe has original floor still in it, and you can tell that by see where these welds on the chassis rail are here. You can see the original spot welds that hold the floor to the integrated chassis rail here, but you can see the original welds that they put here. There's one up this side. There's 2 under here. That's how they tack welded the chassis in place before they fully welded it in, or before they spot welded the floor in. Had to hold it into position. Same down the bottom here. Looks like they've done 3 welds there, and what have we got underneath here? There's a couple under here, is it? There's 3 under here as well. So it really depends on, one guy's working on one side of the car in the factory. He commonly puts 3 in. The other guy is on the other side of the car in the factory. He put one there and two here. So, but that's not the strength. The strength is, see all these spot welds here, all these original ones. That's the strength to make this sort of monobody design. Back chassis rails welded in. The front ones come back to this location here. You can see this one body mount bolt there, one in here, a bit tight but it'll move around. And you get up the front here and you got one here and one here. So what's that? 2, 3, 4 chassis mount positions. But yeah, I thought when I was grinding these welds up here, you can see I just started to dress that weld to clean it off, and I thought, nah, I'm keeping this coupe original. I have to leave those welds there, leave that shitty spot weld there. I'll probably take the weld dag off, but I'll leave all this stuff in there because that's the stuff that makes this original. See where he's missed. They've done all these good spot welds here. See where he missed that one there, and he sort of got it out the side there. Same here, he's got it right on the side there, but these ones you can see he nailed it right down the middle. And this one here, the other guy over here, he's got all these spot welds along here, one at the front. He's got 3 on the outer edge here. Looks like he's gone back through and gave it another hit. But yeah, this coupe floor's got a few, boot floor's got a few dents in it, which I'll have to dolly out. But I'm glad I'm only dollying out dents and not replacing that whole floor like I did in the orange HQ. But the thing back on the road, now you can see underneath here, you can see what this new lower quarter is like. Really solid one piece. And you get down the bottom down here, you can see what the other side is like. That's why it's important to change this inner piece, because look at this dodgy crap here. This weld here, I can tell you now, by the look of this, lack of penetration has been done from the inside. So someone slipped a little patch on the inside, put all these sketchy welds along here, and this was just filled with bog when we got the car. And then just smoothed out. Once it's been sandblasted, all this shit was exposed here, you know, like it's still riddled with holes there. Dodgy weld there. In the back here, this one's actually alright. Oh no, someone's welded a piece in there too. See that bit just there? They've welded it from the inside as well, they just overlapped it and put it in there, so I got to get that out too. But see, this is, oh, look in the back of there. Look down in there, can you see that? Oh, that's a big rust hole from there right down to here. So again, when I take this lower piece off the other side, I will have to replace the inner like I did on this one. So this one is the solid as now, even with just the spot welds on there. What I'll do now is, now this is all finished on the bottom here, I'll go back through, I'll weld all this in, fully weld it all in, right across the, let's get this rolled around. Weld this all in, all the way around the top here, back into that lip in there, and this part of the car's done. Remember when I said, when I spot weld these, when I butt weld this whole joint here, I'll show you a little trick that I've, I don't know, I think I invented it, I don't know. But when you're welding, then you got to grab the air tool and blow it down and cool it. You see me did a couple of these welds and I thought, geez, I forgot to fit up my little air setup onto my MIG gun. So you can see it here, it's pretty basic. I'll show you. You can see it's just my air blower. So when I'm MIG welding, I'll be like, press the button here and MIG weld. Once I've welded the spot, you can see here I've connected my air hose up to the air gun here. It's just a trigger. So right at the end here, when I've finished, I do the weld, I blow it down, I keep welding, blow it down. A lot of panel distortion comes from getting too much heat in it. So if I can weld there, do the spot weld there, blow it, do the spot weld, blow it, cool it down, I should get minimal distortion in the panel. So all I did was I taped it to the, you can see I taped it to the MIG torch here. I'll come out here a bit more. You can see here where tape it to the MIG torch. There's the air blower to it. I'm sure some of you guys are pretty smart on 3D printer. You might be able to make a trigger handle for your MIG with some sort of button or trigger on it for an air tool to plunge it. This is just a bit of vacuum hose off a car. I'll have a spare bit on a reel there, so I'll be welding when I'm finished welding. I'll be like welding when I'm finished. I'll be cool it down, weld, cool it down, weld. And some of you might say, I'll hold the air gun in this hand here, but you still got to come back over here to your gun and try and weld. This way here, I just got a finger on the trigger or thumb on the air blower. What do you reckon about that? I reckon it's bloody genius. I'll show you how it works. What do you reckon about that?